Good morning, everyone. This is Mercedes Rodriguez with the ASRS. Thank you for joining us. We are nearing the scheduled start time of the Operations, Audit, and Legislative Committee meeting. Please be patient while we confirm that our virtual participants are online. Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Essex. Can you hear us?
Good morning. Do you hear me?
Yes, thank you. We are just making sure that all of our virtual participants are online.
Okay.
Good morning, Chairperson Weber. The time is 9:30. We are ready to start at your discretion. Once you have called the meeting to order and the official roll call has been taken, I would like to take a moment and review the meeting guidelines. Thank you.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Weber. We'll go ahead and get started with this committee meeting for the Operations Audit and Legislative Committee. Welcome, and please go ahead and go over those.
Will the following individuals please confirm that you are present at the meeting by stating here as I call your name? Sarah Weber.
Here.
Ashley DiMaggio Rees is excused. Dr. Chuck Essex.
Online.
Michael Miller.
Here.
Thank you. Chairperson Weber, a quorum is present. I would now like to read the guidelines and reminders. This meeting is currently being recorded and live streamed to the public. All speakers, please remember to identify yourself before speaking. Unless you are speaking, all mics should be muted to eliminate background noise. All smart devices should be set to silent. Once motions are made, I will take the vote by roll call. Once completed, the chairperson will announce whether the motion has passed. This will ensure that it's clear to the public how each trustee voted and that the minutes are documented accurately. All presenters, please refer to the page numbers of the packet found in the upper right-hand corner of each page as you move through your presentation, so attendees can follow along. If any members of the public wish to speak, you will have the opportunity under the call to the public, agenda item number 6. As a reminder, if a trustee needs to leave the meeting early, please be sure to verbally indicate when you leave for the record. Thank you, Chairperson Weber.
Thank you. All right, well, I just want to say it's really good to be here together in person and online virtually. So thank you. This has been kind of an odd year for this committee from a scheduling standpoint. So it is really nice to be here. So thank you, everyone, for all your flexibility over the last few months. Depth of a leadership team when you can have public meetings and the top executive can feel comfortable delegating that. So really looking forward to the meeting today. We've got this. So we have a great agenda. I think with that, we can go ahead and dive in. So our second agenda item is the consent agenda. Any questions, discussion, comments regarding the consent agenda? Hearing none, do we have any motions?
Madam Chair, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second? I'll go ahead and second that motion. Please go ahead and call the roll.
Hearing a motion by Michael Miller and a second by Sarah Weber, I will take a roll call vote for the motion to move for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Please answer aye or nay when I call your name. Ms. Weber?
Aye.
Miss Ashley DiMaggio Rees is excused. Dr. Chuck Essex
Aye.
and Mr. Michael Miller.
Aye.
Chairperson Weber, the vote has been taken.
Thank you. And with that, the vote has passed and we've approved our consent agenda. Thank you. All right, next we'll move into the presentation regarding the self-insurance retiree health insurance program. Mr. Scott, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to say before we turn it over to Mrs. Golap.
No, we'll turn it right over to Jenna.
Good morning, Chairperson Weber and members of the committee. I am going to go and play hot potato and turn this straight over to Mr. Russ Levine.
Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Russ Levine. I'm the Health and Disability Plan Administrator here at the ASRS. I'm pleased to present the 2025 annual report for the Arizona State Retirement System non-Medicare health program. As a reminder, our non-Medicare health plans are available to retirees and their dependents that are under the age of 65 and not yet eligible for Medicare. In 2025, the group totaled over 5,600 enrollees which represents about 10% of the total number of enrollees on ASRS medical plans. The balance are on our Medicare plans. We transitioned this program to a self-insured model in 2022. So 2025 marked the 4th year of the program. Joining me today online is Richard Ward. Richard's an actuary with the Siegel Group. Richard and his team support the ASRS and our administration of the ASRS health programs. I thought what I'd do, rather than speak to each page of the annual report, which appear on pages 15 to 25 in your materials, I'll just cover key takeaways and highlights and then turn the time back to you for questions. This annual report, it includes an executive summary, some background program information, enrollee demographics, and financial performance and claim detail and utilization data. So plan year 2025 notables and highlights would include, we saw a year-over-year enrollment increase of about 7%. We maintain to have a heavy presence in Arizona with nearly 98% of our enrollees residing in the state and 88% of our enrollees within the 4 largest urban centers in Arizona. The average retiree age is remaining steady at about 61 years old, and the average dependent age at about 53. The mix of our population, the majority are enrollees, so about 75% of our enrollees are the retirees, and then the balance, 25%, are their dependents, which is primarily spouses. We have about 1 to 2% in any given year of children. Moving to the financial performance and claim detail and utilization for the year. So claims in plan year 25 exceeded our projections, and we drew the ending fund balance down a little below our targeted asset reserve policy target. So our ending year policy target, we were targeting $5.5 to $8 million of a reserve. We were a little below that at 4.6. Aggregate claim and utilization trends were above recent years and our assumptions on the per member per month basis. Specifically, medical claims were a little higher than we had modeled, and the pharmacy claims were a little below. The primary driver for the year-over-year claim increase occurred within the catastrophic case segment. So in this context, catastrophic cases are defined as enrollees with total claims over $100,000. If you can flip to page 25. So the 4-year trend, 25, yeah. Which page? 25? Sorry. Okay. The 4-year trend for catastrophic cases, which is the bottom section on the screen here, you'll notice a 20.5% increase in the proportional volume of cases. So we do that on a pro rata basis, so we're adjusting for increases, decreases, and a 7.5% increase in the average total paid per claimant. So while this is a small segment of our population, it's roughly 2.5%. That population accounts for approximately 43% of the claims paid for the program. That's a 6-point increase year over year. So that's a pretty notable increase. Claims and utilization activity for the balance of the population. So this is the 97.5%. They were within our assumption set, and the distribution of claims by benefit and disease type were all within normal ranges. So catastrophic cases drove the performance, the financial performance of the year, and the balance of the population, again, performed within our assumptions and expectations. So I'll stop my remarks there and turn the time back to you for any questions you might have for myself or Richard online.
Thank you. I was wondering if you could just maybe describe what you would attribute that increase in enrollment to that you saw this year.
We've been fortunate in our financial performance to keep our premiums low for the last 6 years. They've been relatively stable. One of our plans had the same premium for 6 consecutive years. One of our plans actually reduced its premium, which you don't typically see in a health plan. So lower premiums, I think, was the main driver. What we're going to see in 2026 when we present next year, an additional increase. I would attribute that additional increase that we'll talk about next year to the ACA marketplace options becoming less desirable. So subsidies that were available from for three years prior to 26 were favorable. Our population had great options in the ACA marketplace. In 2026, less favorable. That's what's going to drive the 2026. But back to 2025, I would say our stability in our premiums was an attractive element.
Thank you. So you would say that overall, we've been more competitive, and that's why more people are choosing this option.
Yeah, what I would say is we're in a good option among the option sets available to this group. And I say it that way is it's extremely expensive. In America, when your employer is no longer paying the majority of your health care and you're footing the bill, it's extremely expensive. And the options are a bit thin, is what I would say. So what we see is a lot of our retirees will consider their options, which could be going on their spouse's plan. It could be the ACA marketplace. I do think we have a value-based, nice, attractive plan for our members. I'm not going to suggest to you that it is inexpensive. With that being said, I think we're an attractive option for this segment of the population. I would call us sort of a bridge group, right? We're bridging the gap between employment and Medicare, which for most people is age 65. It's that 2 to 4 years of needing healthcare, trying to find the best value for your money. And in America, the options are not fantastic right now.
Thank you. I think that's a really fair description. And, but a lot of people I talk to, they're eligible for retirement, they're interested, and they're not 65 yet, but they have a lot of things they want to go do and life to live and enjoy. And so I think options like this are so important and critical to be able to offer. I was hoping on the catastrophic claims, that's really interesting. If maybe you could share what your thoughts are. Do you expect to see that continue, that significant increase?
So I'm going to keep my comments at a high level due to health privacy laws. We need to be sensitive given the small size of this group. But what you see in health plans is catastrophic cases tend to be best described as cyclical. And so they have a high degree of unpredictability. If you think of what's going on here, there's essentially two types. There's a chronic or episodic. So the chronic are individuals maybe have a health condition that's going to last a longer time, usually more than a year. Those individuals maybe have a little bit more predictability that you can model out. The other type being episodic. So this is something that's going to have maybe a temporary event, maybe a hospitalization, an infection, and a surgery. Those have a little less predictability to monitor and track. The other thing that makes our group a little different than an employer group, and I would say a little harder to model, is that individuals are on our plans just for 2 to 3 years. And so to really encapsulate a decade or so, we don't have that advantage. And so to try to answer your question, what do we think this group is going to look like going forward? Our expectation, looking at our history, is that this is a spike. Our expectation, it should return closer to the 20 cases per thousand. Right now, it bumped up to 25. But we do expect this population, given our age, we will have catastrophic cases. But our expectation, is it going to grow or not? We believe it's cyclical, but we're monitoring. So we're in year 2026 right now. We're a half a year in monitoring, not necessarily these individuals, but this segment and this group. We are seeing a little carry into 2026. And so is this cyclical for multiple years or 1 year? It's too early to tell, but we do monitor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions?
I just find, um, I guess I would say fascinating how you try to figure out and project the unknown, in reality. And you're right, that term of bridge is exactly a great term to describe this group. I went through that, and this was not an option when I went through it. So I understand, and there's not, I don't think as many options out there as there used to be in a sense, but maybe there are. I'm just not aware of it. But it's got to be hard to be able to look into a crystal ball and try to predict the unknown. So I think you're doing a great job.
Right, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, please.
just so I could give just really quick hit on, bring it back to something that Russ said, that the majority of our retirees are only on this insurance for 3 years. And so one of our primary goals on the Health Insurance Committee is to mitigate the volatility of the premiums. And Russ, Richard Ward at Siegel, and Jenna and the rest of the Health Insurance Committee do a great job doing that. It's just tough. It's a tough conversation to have when we have premiums going up and we say, well, this is a win. Well, it's a win, but it's still tough for retirees to pay these premiums. So we're constantly looking at the different levers that we can pull in order to keep premiums from being volatile, so that members only experience one, possibly one, hopefully no premium changes within the time while they're waiting to go on the Medicare coverage. So just wanted to say great job by the team on working on this.
Thank you. And yeah, thank you for excellent management of this. This is not an easy task in today's world by any means. So I appreciate all the dedication and professionalism that's put into this option and creating this, as you said, attractive option for our retirees. Thank you.
Chairperson Weber, I think that Dr. Essex has a comment.
Oh, yes, I see the hand raised. Dr. Essex.
Well, thank you for, but I just wanted to stress how important this coverage is for this segment of our of the ASRS population. It's, you know, it's certainly a very difficult area to handle in terms of claims and things like that, but it's certainly, as others can probably attest, this is a lifesaver for many people to have this coverage available through this period of time. And I'm glad the ASRS is doing it, and so I think many of our members are glad that it's available to them.
Thank you, Dr. Essex. It's very well said. Any other comments? Well, thank you so much. We will move on to agenda item number 4 regarding the budget. We have a couple of topics for fiscal year 27 and 28 spending plans. And I will pass the hot potato to you, Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm going to look to, is it Athena or Jeremy that's going to be presenting?
It will be Jeremy, but I just wanted to thank you guys for the opportunity, Chairman Weber, and also just present that Jeremy's been with us for several years, but this will be his first presentation in his new role as the budget procurement manager as of June. He's doing an excellent job, but he will be presenting the operational side, and then James will present the investment side. So I'll hand it over to you.
Well, welcome. It's great to have you here at the committee meeting.
Yeah, so as Athena mentioned, I'll be presenting the administrative budget, which is in 2 parts. There's the subtopics. So the first subtopic is the update to the FY 2027 spending plan. And then the second part is the FY 2028 appropriated spending plan request. Item 4A is the FY 2027 spending plan that includes overall $38.4 million and includes spending increase in line with the statewide adjustments for health insurance costs, as well as a decrease in continuously appropriated spending of approximately $800,000 primarily for IT projects that were originally budgeted in the FY 2027 plan that has since been moved to the fiscal year 2028 plan. In addition, for FY 2027, we're going to prioritize work on security projects and several other IT development projects, including the continuation of a project to meet the mandatory statewide banking requirements, as well as projects to improve accuracy and efficiency of employer enrollment and timing of payroll processing. Item subtopic 4B is the FY 2028 spending plan on attachment C. The appropriated request is $28.6 million in total. And this is the fourth consecutive year that we will be submitting a request to the legislature and the governor without a spending increase to our appropriation. So we're very pleased about that. In FY 2028, this spending plan has sufficient resources to meet the needs of the agency, and will continue to work to retain our current complement of staff with administration planning and variable compensation, and continue to work on those IT projects that we've discussed previously, as well as any others as the need arises. So those are my short comments on the administrative spending plans. I'll turn it over to James to discuss the investment spending plans.
Morning. Good morning. My name is James Smolowitz. I work in the investment management division. Thank you, Chair Weber, for the opportunity to present this morning. So on behalf of the investment management division and under the direction of our Chief Investment Officer, Mike Viteri, I'm presenting the spending plan for the investment management division for the fiscal years 2027 and 2028 for your review and consideration today. As indicated in the memo, the investment program and spending plan for both years includes expenditures that the ASRS management feels are necessary and appropriate to achieve our established investment goals and objectives. If you'll go to page 31, that's attachment B. It outlines the major categories of the investment management expenses. The largest portion of our spend is going to be related to the fees associated with the internal and external management of our investments in both the public and private markets. You'll note a slight increase in the projected investment management fees for the private market asset classes in both fiscal 28 and 27, which are mainly due to portfolio growth. That's a mechanism of a more attractive investment strategy in private markets, as opposed to if you just had 100% in the public markets alone. Overall, our outlook for operational costs remains relatively steady. The investment management team continues to be cognizant of the actual and proposed costs when we engage experts, consultants, and other providers. And we actively work to identify and employ the right complement of resources, data tools, and systems that allow for efficient management and performance reporting. For these reasons, we'll expect a difference to the budget, as we always do, and it may occur due to change in processes or to comply with regulatory or legislative changes. But overall, we expect what we're presenting today to be appropriate for the experience we'll see in these fiscal years. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. And if there are none, I'll turn it back over to Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy and James. I'll open it up to any questions from the other trustees. And I'll ask mine.
I would just make a comment. I guess what amazes me is that as you develop these budgets and how consistent they are without spikes, without big jumps up and or down, and we kind of move forward on a very steady basis, which to me speaks volumes of the quality and your hard work to make certain that we follow that path. So I don't really have any questions other than keep doing what you're doing. And because you constantly are raising the bar in terms of expectation of results, without throwing a lot of money at it in a sense. And that speaks volumes for ASRS. So thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to echo that, especially I think when we look at the past 4 years and there's over 100 budget units in the state. And I'm sure the majority of those at some point had an increase in their budget or requested increase. So that is a huge accomplishment and does not done easily to be able to say that, you know, have no increases. And especially with, I know some of these are more statewide increases for the HIDF and things like that. So just well done. That is not easy by any means, and your costs, just like everyone else's, are increasing. Could you remind me on the decrease in the FTE from fiscal year 26 to 27? Why that there was that decrease?
Sure, yes. So the decrease, we had about an 18 FTE decrease from 241 to 223. And that's mostly just a right sizing of our current FTE staff. The state budget every year includes a requirement to report on our filled FTE positions. And historically, our filled positions have been significantly lower than that 241 mark. So occasionally OSPB and JLBC will get together and determine or make a suggestion on changes to that. So that's really just right sizing to get us closer to what our actual FTE count is.
Thank you.
So we don't expect it to have any impact on current staffing or our ability to hire new employees.
Thank you. That was just making sure the appropriate FTE number was more accurately reflecting the actual number of filled positions. It wasn't any type of drastic change in the staffing numbers overall. Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, if you'd allow me to just make one comment. I was at a NASRA conference last week, and happy to report that when I updated the rest of the United States on what we were doing, I got audible gasps at how we are still maintaining these high levels of service, highest in the world, and continue to control our costs, lowest quartile costs. And they keep asking how we do it, and it's just the staff. And I wanted to just give a shout out to Trent, who's done an amazing job straight through processing, him and his team straight through processing, so that the refunds. So Erica Searing did a great job right sizing her teams, and we're right now straight through processing retirements and increasing the turnaround times and the accuracy. So not only are we, keeping the budget within control, but we're still increasing and improving our services. And Trent did a fantastic job of reeling in, or I wouldn't say reeling in, but right sizing TSD, and we're still having the same excellent outcomes and same high impact projects coming out of his area. So just a fantastic job by staff and continuing to look at new and better ways. We're never satisfied. We're always looking for better ways to do things. Even when we've achieved lowest quartile cost and highest service, we're always looking for better ways to do things. And that's a large portion of that is credit to the board and creating the strategic plan that allows us to operate within that world. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Very well said. Any other comments, questions? Well, thank you. I hope you all go home at the end of the day feeling like you're the all-star player on like the best winning team in the NBA. I don't know anything about sports, but you really should feel just as proud and honestly more so because of the impact that you're making on people's lives. So thank you for all you do. Okay, and I think next we're going to move to
No,
we
couple of motions.
Look at me rushing ahead. I drank too much coffee this morning. All right. Do I have any motions regarding agenda item 4A and 4B?
Madam Chairman, I move that the committee approve and forward to the ASRS Board of Trustees the following. The proposed updated administrative spending plan of $38,433,400 for fiscal year 2027 and the updated continuously appropriated investment spending plan of $289,807,100 for fiscal year 2027, subject to revised management projections and to include private markets, performance incentives, and other fees when identified and paid.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Do I have a second?
Good job.
Dr. Chuck Essex, are you able to?
Yes,
share?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Please go ahead and call the roll call.
Hearing a motion by Michael Miller and a second by Chuck Essex, I will take a roll call vote for the motion to approve agenda item 4A as stated. Please answer aye or nay when I call your name. Ms. Weber,
Aye.
Ms. DiMaggio Rees is excused. Dr. Essex
Aye.
and Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Chairperson Weber, the vote has been taken.
Thank you. And with that, the vote has passed. We've approved agenda item number 4A for the spending plan for fiscal year 2027. Do I have any motions regarding agenda item number 4B?
Madam Chairman, I move that the committee approve and forward to the ASRS Board of Trustees the following. One, an appropriated budget request for fiscal year 2028 in the amount of $29,642,500. And number two, the proposed administrative spending plan of $39,502,900 and continuously appropriating investment spending plan of $303,331,100 for fiscal year 2028, subject to revised management projections and to include private markets, performance incentives, and other fees when identified and paid.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Chuck Essex, I second that.
Dr. Essex, please go ahead and call the vote.
Hearing a motion by Michael Miller and a second by Chuck Essex, I will take a roll call vote for the motion to approve agenda item 4B as stated. Please answer aye or nay when I call your name. Ms. Weber,
Aye.
Ms. DiMaggio Rees is excused. Dr. Essex
Aye.
and Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Chairperson Weber, the vote has been taken.
Thank you. And with that, the vote has passed for agenda item number 4B. Thank you. And with that, we will move to agenda item number 5 regarding the legislative and rulemaking initiatives. Mr. Scott, I'll let you pass the potato.
Thank you, Chair. Give our team just a minute to come up here and then we'll have Jessica kick it right off when she's ready.
Thank you, Chair Weber and members of the committee. For the record, Jessica Thomas, Government Relations Officer for the Arizona State Retirement System. Before you, you have the legislative summary for the 2026 legislative session. As you know, the session adjourned sine die on June 13th, 2026, with a general effective date of September 12th, 2026. There were approximately 927 initiatives introduced in the Senate, with approximately 2,200 initiatives introduced in the House. The ASRS tracked about 125 initiatives that could have had a potential impact on the ASRS. And then our summary has, of course, our 3 initiatives that we pursued, as well as some other more significant initiatives that could have had an impact. And the biggest takeaway from this is that we are currently working on implementing our 3 initiatives, as well as another initiative, which is HB 2502, that relates to elected officials being able to retire without terminating. Before I move on to the rulemaking side of things, I will stop and see if anyone has any questions on legislation.
No questions from me, but 125 that you're tracking, that's a significant. So well done. That was a busy session for you. Any other questions?
I will move on to the rulemaking side of things. We are up to date on our rulemaking initiatives as well. We submitted a 5-year review report this year on schedule. That report covered 3 articles, Articles 6, 7, and 9. Those articles related to public participation in rulemaking, contributions not withheld, and compensation. Staff only identified one minor correction and proposed correction for that relating to, I believe, clarifying that you only accrue service credit in the month in which you render services to the employer as opposed to when the pay period ends. Any questions on that before I move on to the actual rulemaking? No.
Thank you.
So we also submitted a notice of final rulemaking related to 2 different articles, long-term disability and then collection of overpayments. That was submitted to the Secretary of State, and it will go into effect on October 4th. And really, those are also minor changes to our rules. Those relate to removing outdated terms that are no longer used or necessary. And then it also simply clarifies when the long-term disability payments actually begin. And then it also clarifies that for collection of overpayments, our third-party administrator has the ability to collect an overpayment from the long-term disability benefits. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on that.
Any questions? Thank you. Anything else? That was concise. Well, thank you.
Yeah, that was all I had.
I appreciate it. I appreciate all your work this year, and I'm sure you're gearing up and see what happens for the next year. Thank you. Okay. All right, with that, we'll move to agenda item number 6, a call to the public. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak to the committee?
Chairperson Weber, we do not have any members of the public wishing to speak.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move to agenda item number 7 regarding the ASRS Information Security and Privacy Program. Do I have a motion given the content of this discussion for executive session?
Madam Chair, I move that we go into executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03B. Minutes of and discussions made in executive session are required by law to be confidential and should not be communicated to any person outside the meeting. I'm not sure that's right. Motion.
Yes, so I want to, there's 2 verbiage. This one is citing a different statute than the one here on the motion sheet. So if you would be interested in maybe restating.
Yes, I would be happy to restate. Yes, Madam Chair, I move that the committee go into executive session for agenda item number 7 pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A9 for the purpose of discussion or consultations with designated representatives to discuss security matters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hearing the motion, do I have a second?
Dr. Essex, are you able to hear us online?
Yes, I am.
I'm looking for a second to the motion to go into executive session. Dr. Essex,
I second that motion.
thank you. With that, let's call the vote. Looks like we're just double checking that we were citing things correctly.
Hearing a motion by Michael Miller and a second by Chuck Essex, I will take a roll call vote for the motion to move into executive session for the security update. Please answer aye or nay when I call your name. Miss Sarah Weber,
Aye.
Miss Ashley DiMaggio Rees is excused. Dr. Chuck Essex,
Aye.
and Mr. Michael Miller.
Aye.
Chairperson Weber, the vote has been taken. Just a reminder to our virtual trustees, please disconnect from the Zoom meeting and join the Google Meets executive session with the link that has been provided to you. The time is 10:10 a.m. We will now move into executive session.
Thank you.
Got my coffee.
What?
Can I heat this up?
All right, we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote before we get started.
The time is now, oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Yes, the time is now 10:43 a.m. Chairperson Weber, we are ready for you to call the open session meeting back to order when you're ready.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the open session back to order.
For the record, will the following trustees please confirm that you are in attendance at the meeting by stating here as I call your name? Miss Sarah Weber.
Here,
Miss Ashley DiMaggio Rees is excused. Dr. Chuck Essex.
I'm online.
Thank you. And Mr. Michael Miller.
Here,
Thank you. A roll call has been taken. Chairperson Weber, a quorum is present.
all right, thank you. And with that, we will move to agenda item number 8 regarding the strategic communications initiatives. Mr. Scott?
Thank you, Chair, and we'll turn it right over to Nate Rengel.
Hello, Chairperson Weber and members of the committee. I am Nate Pringle, Communications and Public Affairs Officer. So it's been a while since I've been up here to share an update with you guys. So happy to go through what we've been working on for about the last year and a half or so. Go ahead and move ahead. We'll go, keep going. I'm sorry, I forgot to write down page numbers. Bear with me. There we go. One more. So for the beginning of 2025, one of our largest projects was migrating the platform that we were using for our mass communication, basically our emails that we're sending to members, retirees, and employers. We did this for a number of reasons. We kind of felt like we were outgrowing the software that we were using. This allowed us to build some more sophisticated email journeys for people, automate some processes, and just get more creative with how and when we're communicating. And I'll kind of get into some more details about that specifically. It also allows us to target some of our subgroups and our personas a little bit better, get some more metrics. Like some of our numbers that are down below, we have always had great metrics for our active members, retirees, and employers, but now we can really look at those active members, like where our new members stand versus our mid-career versus those who are nearing retirement, to see and just make sure that those numbers are where they need to be, and we don't need to target any particular group over the other. So, and the numbers really bear out what we see in other areas and surveys and stuff, that as people move throughout their career, they get more and more engaged with us and are reading more and more content. So these are just some examples of the types of things that we're doing now with our communication that we weren't able to do before. When we send out a newsletter to active members, for example, for years, we would just send to our entire list of 195,000 people all at once, which can be frightening for a number of reasons. So this now allows us to send it in groups and over an entire day and over a period of multiple days. So our nearing retirement group will start out and we'll send to a few thousand an hour between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. And that will continue for a couple of days. Then it'll pick up to our mid-career members, and those will get, you know, the same thing, a few thousand an hour between 6 and 6. And then we finish up with our new members. And that process takes, it's a 4-day process now. That allows us a lot of strategic benefit. If we start to get some feedback that we've made a mistake, we can capture it and stop it early. So we can contain it to just a segment of the population instead of everybody. It has, you know, we do our best to not impact the call center, but sometimes, you know, there's just no avoiding that. This allows that hit to be spread over a number of days instead of, you know, being all at once. So there's some other technical back-end advantages to this too, but that's the majority. Another item, automations. We are automating. You can stay on that for half a second. I'm sorry. Some automations we use for a lot of stuff just to make our lives a little bit easier. We can take a large Excel sheet, and instead of spending a couple of hours filtering it out, creating separate lists, and then importing multiple lists, we can now just take that entire list. We've built an automation that will evaluate it and drop those people into the buckets and lists that they need to go into. So it just becomes a, you know, one upload and a click of a button and everybody gets sorted. It saves us time. It reduces our opportunity for error that we've been having with Excel. So that's been fantastic for us as well. We use this also to control some of our journeys, our birthday emails, our welcome emails. We use this quite a bit. Staying here for 1 second, the last thing I'll touch on is contextual information, our content in our emails. We now have the ability to send a single email and have a block of information change based on who the recipient is. We use this a lot for our welcome emails because they get slightly different content based on if they're enrolled or they skipped enrollment or they got halfway through and bailed. So now we can, instead of, again, having 3 different lists and 3 different emails and, you know, sending 3 different things, we just send one. We have a block of email that changes based on like where they're at in the step of that process. And it just really simplifies our lives a little bit, allows us to be a little bit more efficient. Go ahead. One of the more complicated parts of this new system that we've built just recently is our new welcome journey. That email that I was just talking about has traditionally been our, you know, we see that you're a new member, we send this email, we help guide you through enrollment, we have a couple of other bullet points, and then after that you get our regular monthly newsletters. We're replacing that with a 2-year 12 email journey where they're excluded from our monthly newsletters, and instead they get this every other month content. So it's a little bit slower paced, and it's all geared towards the value of the ASRS, the benefits of the ASRS, and really trying to explain to them early on in their career, like what they're a part of and the benefits of what they're a part of. And hopefully long term, we can start to see a little bit of a boost in like the net promoter scores that go along with some of our newest members. So this is, we've just kicked this off within about 3 months ago or so. So every month we will have people in every step of this journey, and emails being sent all throughout the month that are completely hands off from us. We drop them into this timeline, and everything else is automated for all of the emails that they receive. One aspect of this journey that I wanted to highlight is our look at supplemental savings plans. We are always looking at creative and new ways to really get these in front of people and explain the benefits of these. And speaking to these plans to new members, of course, when they're early in their careers and their journeys, is particularly important. So We now have also the ability to drop in some a contact form to them, which we're not able to do previously. And so if they are interested in receiving more information, they want to connect with Nationwide, they can just provide some basic information and click submit. And everything else is automated. That goes to a database. There's an automation that continually looks for new information. When it sees it, it sends it over to Nationwide. And it's all hands off. So there's no person in our staff that has to go look to see if anybody has expressed an interest, download lists and send it over. We're getting ourselves out of being the middleman and just kind of helping to connect the dots a little bit better. That is really all of the email stuff. So if you have any questions about that, I can pause before I dive into our next topic. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about ID.me. You're probably pretty familiar with this project. It's been a large part of the first part of our year. I wanted to go over from a communications perspective because this was a large project for us as well. This really was 3 different communication plans rolled into one. We evaluated who needed to know what and when they needed to know it and what they had to do. And it really came down to employers had so much that they could do ahead of time to get ready for our launch day, cleaning up their user lists, making sure that users were using legal first names, things of that nature. Members and retirees, there was really nothing that they could do prior to launch. So it's more just about awareness. We want to let them know that it's coming. We don't want to catch them off guard, but we also don't want to, drive traffic to the website because there's not any to-do items for them until launch day. For staff, it's really about education. We had to get them up to speed and able to help out members and employers from day one, hour one, as soon as we go live on a system that they're not familiar with a process that they've never seen before. So we really had to look at those 3 groups and develop pre-launch plans for all of them and post-launch plans for all of them. This is just an overview of most of the materials that we ended up creating for them. We had 4 web pages. We had pre-launch and post-launch content. So as soon as we got the go-ahead from TSD that things were live, we cut over the code and we pasted in our launch code and immediately changed over all of our content on launch day. We had homepage slides, employer banners, multiple emails over months, a couple of print articles for members and retirees. TSD had alert messages on both of our secure portals. So if the people that were logging in beforehand to do business with us, they were not surprised that this was coming. And the last one was a member login page redesign. That actually happened at the very end. I wanted to highlight this because I felt like it really encapsulated all of our divisions really working together. We quickly realized, MSPD on phones, our frontline staff were able to communicate some of the pain points that they're hearing from people. And we quickly understood that we could, ease one of those by changing our login screen. Having the login screen that we'd had for years and just switching out the button wasn't quite enough on this one. There was some additional confusion because there was a new group that we were speaking to. We weren't just asking people to either log in or register as a new user. We had the 3rd variable now of them needing to sign up for ID.me and create their ID.me digital wallet. So we put our heads together. We redesigned this page on the fly. We mocked up a layout with a second button, clarifying where new members needed to go to, creating some different headers and things like that. Handed it over to TSD. They built out our mock-up, tested it, made it live. And from start to finish, all of that happened within a handful of business days. And immediately we saw that it relieved a lot of the confusion that we were seeing, the bulk of people on phones that were calling us. Some of the quick numbers, as a result, after 24 hours, we saw that our push to really focus on employers, getting them signed up quickly because they had active business to handle and manage with us. After just 24 hours, half of our employer users had reestablished contact, which was fantastic. And we had a couple of thousand of members and retirees who were able to reestablish contact. Over the next couple of months, all of our employer users were up to speed. And we had 62,000 and growing of our members and retirees that were, starting to reestablish contact with their accounts. And for members and retirees, that was always our goal. We don't need to cause a big rush to do this. Like, they just need to do this throughout the year as they need to do business with us. So like right now, as open enrollment is starting to creep up on us, we're messaging to retirees like, hey, make sure if you're going to be logging in to apply for health insurance or something, or changing your coverage or checking your coverage, go now. Make sure that you can get into your account, make sure that you're settled with ID.me and you're comfortable with it, so that by the time open enrollment gets here, that's one less thing that could potentially get in the way. Moving on, I will touch on ADA compliance. This was going on concurrently with ID.me. It's been a fun first quarter. The launch date for ID.me was April 21st, and the initial ADA compliance federal deadline was, I believe, April 27th. So at the same time, we were also analyzing and fixing all of our materials to make sure that we are meeting the ADA compliance that we need to. This was admittedly a new territory for us. This was not something that had previously been on our radar. So there was a lot of just education that we had to do on, what ADA means, because it's not just a single thing. It's your website, it's PDFs, it's video content, and it means something a little bit different for each of those outlets. So learning what we needed to do, how we needed to fix our content, then how we needed to move forward. TSD, we worked very closely with to bring our website from a compliance score of 64% to 85%. We took a pause at 85% because we're going through a process with ADOA of actually refreshing and upgrading the back end of our website, which is actually happening right now. So in about a month, we'll restart this process and take ourselves from 85 to 100 on the website. We removed a lot of our just archived documents that were on the website that were not getting used, that were non-compliant. So we removed large swaths of content. We did the same thing with our video library. We got rid of the old videos that were sitting there not being used, and whatever was left, we made sure that they had proper subtitles, that transcripts were able to be developed and exported for all of those things. So I'm happy with where we're at. The extension to for the ADA compliance to be for 2027 was a big relief, I'm sure, for everybody. So that has helped us in triage, from the most important and to the most complicated things. So we're continuing to work through that, and I think we'll be at a good place, great place for April 2027. Lastly, seeing a picture. Okay. Lastly, our ASRS Answers chatbot. We rolled this out. We did kind of a soft launch in December of 2025, and this is a digital generative AI chatbot tool. So there's not staff that's manning this. This is just scanning our source information for answers of that people, ask of it. And we spent a lot of time. This was built from the ground up. So everything from like pitching names to developing the graphics and the icons and everything. I'm lucky to have a very talented designer on staff who did a fantastic job, Dave Croy. And then we worked with MSBD staff to really make sure that we were capturing our most asked questions from members and retirees. We did a ton of testing, whether this should scan our entire website, parts of it. We decided to control it down to a single source. So we built a new web page that this chatbot points to so that we have greater control over the information. We very early on decided to take a very cautious and evolutionary approach to this new tool because we understand the consequences of giving somebody an incorrect answer or giving somebody half of an answer. I would rather our chatbot come back with, "I'm sorry, I don't know," than to give incorrect information. So that's the stand that we took from the get-go, and I think it's really starting to pay off. We have a team of people that every day we look at what's being asked and what's being answered and how it's being answered, and we decide as a team like where that information needs to be improved or tweaked or changed. Sometimes it's information, sometimes it's just tone on how that information is provided. And we continually, early on, we were in there every single day, updating as we were getting new and interesting questions that we realized we needed to answer. And as we kind of figured that, as we get further and further along, now that it's been, a number of months, we're mostly monitoring. Every now and then we'll get a new question that pops up, but we're pretty much hands off at this point. So I think it's grown into a really good place and a very useful tool for people to ask some very, pretty straightforward and simple questions that can be quickly answered. And that is, I know it's a lot of information, a lot of different topics, but that is everything I had. So any questions or comments that you guys might have?
Thank you, Nate. Questions, comments? I'll let others go first.
Just a simple question, I hope. How successful in terms of percentage of our members, because if I understood you right, we still have some that have not done the ID and Me. How close are we to having the success that we really need it to be?
I don't have those numbers offhand to know like what percentage of our population has reestablished connection to their accounts, but we're always going to have, I think, a percentage of people who just don't do business with us very often, who log into their accounts, every few years just to maybe change a beneficiary. So I think it's going to take a very long-term approach. I also think that we're entering into two very important seasons, open enrollment and then 1099 season in January. And I think after those two seasons, it's probably going to be very interesting to take a look at the numbers. I know a lot of our retirees probably only log in to manage one of those two things.
Thank you.
Trustee Miller, just to let you know, we can follow up this meeting with some numbers for you guys. We get them monthly on where we're at, but just to reinforce what Nate said, we did this intentionally after the tax season.
Right.
So we're expecting a new large push coming up here in January, February.
Great. Thank you. That was a good question. No, thank you for the presentation. Great to hear you have an email platform that is giving you some more tools and adaptability. Very excited to see how that 2-year 12 message, gosh, what do I call those?
Journey.
Welcome, Journey.
Journey works out. It's hard to get people to open emails these days. So appreciate that you're looking at best practices and incorporating them in and being flexible, especially with these big lifts like the ID Me. And great update on the chat bot. I'm excited to go use it. There's nothing I hate more than when you go onto like a website and you get a chat bot and it's like, it's awful. And then they've hidden all the like phone numbers, you know, so that you can't call or talk to anyone ever. And I know that is not what we're doing here. The intentionality of where you're, you know, sourcing the information to make sure it's correct. And just adding this as a complement to what you're already doing, I think for folks that are less comfortable picking up the phone and want to just be able to query and find information. This is a great tool. So no, thank you for all the updates and information. Anything else to add, Mr. Scott?
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Nate's modest. I just want to bury the lead here. He's completely modernized the way that we communicate with our members in our entire communication platform, being able to automate so many things and, you know, personalize it due to their member journey or their demographics has been, Nate's done a fantastic job of that over the last 2 years. And the most remarkable part of that is that he's done it with himself, one other full-time staff, and a half of another staff. And we're doing everything that the other agencies, large agencies, are doing with teams of 10 and 12. Nate's doing it with 2.5 people. So just remarkable job and incredibly efficient. And we're in my opinion, from seeing what, you know, some of the other pension funds are doing, the top ones, we're doing everything that they're doing, if not more. So thank you, Nate. You're doing great.
Yeah, thank you for pointing out. That's incredibly impressive. Thank you. All right. We're all ready. We'll go ahead and move to agenda item number 9, the 2026 annual active member survey results.
We're gonna have Erica come up and discuss that. We'll turn it right over to her as she makes her way to the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson Weber and members of the committee. We're going to talk about the active member survey results for 2026. We did start the survey in April of 2026, and it continued on through May, for most of May. The feedback that we received was very valuable. Our net promoter score was 14.4, which did come down just a little bit. Actually, if you want to go to the next page, sorry. Which did go down a little bit from our 2025 result of 18.4. But this was very valuable information because it spanned the release of that ID Me. And so we did see a temporary, what we anticipate to be a temporary dip in that net promoter score based on the implementation of the security authentication for our member accounts. This was shown also in the results. When you look at our member cohorts that were 20 years of service or more, these tend to be the first ones to respond to our survey. So we get their responses in super quick and they're highly satisfied with what we're doing, as you can see on the chart there. The lower cohorts that have lower years of service, they tend to take a little bit longer to answer this active member survey. And so as a result of that, we saw more of these responses coming in after that ID Me released. So it was very interesting to see the little bit of a shift that we had there. In addition to that, you'll see on there the group that is 1 to 4.99 years definitely saw a little bit of a dip. This particular group seems to have been the most respondent regarding that ID Me release. So definitely something worth looking into as far as, you know, promoting that, supporting the implementation. Overall, however, our results, we had an 83% of active members stated that the lifetime benefit influences their decision to stay with an ASRS contributing employer, as well as 84% would recommend the ASRS to their friends, family as a great place to have a job. And we saw 78% agree that the contribution rates are affordable for the benefits that are received. Now, 81% feel that their retirement is secure, which is always a great result to see. And 79% report the just overall satisfaction with the ASRS. So we had, as you can see in our website satisfaction, again, super high, especially with a lot of the changes that we saw coming up. So we had 82% for our secure website was our satisfaction rate. and 80% for that public website. So all of those changes that communications was rolling out seem to be very well received. We also did have a really great way to view the information is based on customer service satisfaction based on our interactions. There is a slight typo on the page that you guys have there. We did have our no contact, as you'll see on there, is an 81%. In reality, it was actually a 61%, which is very valuable to look at because when you compare that to those that actually contacted us, they had a 77% satisfaction rate with the ASRS customer service. So definitely promoting interaction with us, whether that be a phone call or sending a secure message, seems to increase that customer service. Another key point to remember, however, is even though these results show 77% or 61%, it doesn't necessarily mean that there was a large amount of dissatisfaction. So dissatisfaction ranged from 3 to 4%. Most of the change in these results is actually attributed to just neutrals. So if they haven't contacted us, they're neutral on how our customer service is performing. As far as next steps go, there are a few things that we'd like to look into. Based on member feedback on this survey, they are continually looking for better guidance, planning with the simple jargon-free materials and educational resources. Our member education team works really hard on this, and meeting the members where they are is really important to us. So just kind of diving in a little bit deeper to what specifically they're requesting this on, I think will really help us on that note, as well as continuing to monitor the members' feedback on that IDME release. That's something that isn't going to change. It's a security feature. So how can we better support the members in accepting and going through with being more satisfied with the changes that we have for securing their accounts? We also would like to promote a little bit more interactive annuity simulators and career stage planning assistance. This was something in the age of AI that a lot of members feel strongly about. So I think that the chatbot is definitely going to help that endeavor, as well as just promoting the members on where to look for those interactive tools to help guide them towards planning for their retirement. And that is all I have. Open for questions.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Yes, please go ahead.
First of all, I know that Erica had mentioned that we dropped a couple points, and there's good reason for that, but we don't take that lightly, right? We have to make decisions sometimes that we know are going to cause friction with the members, and one of those was identity verification. We know that we're doing the right thing. We know that we're safeguarding the accounts of a $63 billion pension fund, and that we need to make these important decisions and that doesn't mean that we just shrug our shoulders and say, oops, well, too bad. We're going to work on this. We're going to make sure that we improve communication, that we improve our education, and we explain to members why it's important and why they have to do these things. So when I was reading the comments and I saw that there was some frustration with identity verification, I understand it, and that we're going to work on that. Another thing that's interesting is how much I did a study, I want to say 10 years ago, we were just seeing a tremendous amount of refunds that were happening, and we didn't understand why, because in Arizona, our economy was fine. But on the national level, the unemployment rate had kicked up. Arizona was fine, but nationally, people were getting nervous about their money that they had, and they wanted to take it out. So we were being affected by national stories, even though in Arizona, everything was fine. I think we're seeing a little bit of that when I look at the comments about trust in government right now. There was a Gallup poll recently where the top two reasons why people were concerned with America was the economy and the cost of healthcare insurance. For the first time ever, trust in government had risen to number 3 in their concerns. And so we're seeing that on a national basis, people's opinions about government and their trust with government or their satisfaction with government actually bleeds into our results as well. Again, I don't see this as a shrug your shoulder moment. I see this as an opportunity for education and communication with our members and what we're doing for them and how we operate with them and what we as an organization are doing to safeguard their future. So we take these very seriously, even though it's only a small decrement. We're going to take this back and see what we can do in order to improve them the next time we go around. I do think that we're going to see, because I think the survey came out mid-launch. So we actually might see even more of more comments regarding identity verification going forward. And especially when the retiree survey comes out, I think we're going to see even more. So I think that this is going to be a continuing story and a continuing education push for us and communications to improve and work on this. So thank you for allowing me to make those comments.
No, thank you. And thank you for the presentation. And, I think this is a challenge to that you all will rise to the occasion for. I think those reasoning it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of rationale between the more macro trends and public sentiment, but also this change that we are ultimately we're not asking, we're telling them that they have to do. And we understand the why of why we need to do this. We know that this will not change at the end of the day, the benefit that they receive and their ability to access their information. But each and every member is going to have to go through that change and understand that for themselves. And so I appreciate the dedication and the patience to that change management process as we see it through. The board was a part of the decision to say, yes, this is the right thing to do, and we're going to move forward with it. And so we'll be a part of that process through it all as well. I speak for myself. I think the rest of the board would agree as that as well. So we'll continue to monitor, and I know you all are very proactive as you're looking at data and to really suss out that this is the cause. There isn't anything else that we need to look into, and that you're always being adaptable and trying to implement and improve that along the journey. So thank you. And thank you for that explanation and all the updates. I think this is really important information, and appreciate just the attention that it's given, and that it's, not just taken lightly and said, oh, these people complaining and throw it out the window, which unfortunately I think some organizations do. And so thank you for modeling the way and giving it the attention it deserves. Thank you. Thank you, Erica. All right, with that, we'll move to agenda item number 10. Internal audit report. Mr. Mackey.
Good morning. Hopefully you can hear me okay. For the record, I'm Harold Mackey, Chief Internal Auditor for the Arizona State Retirement System. Thank you, Chairperson Weber, for hearing us today, and Trustee Miller and Trustee Essig. Grateful for this opportunity. Let's go forward and talk about our quarterly audit report. So as you're aware, and for those who don't know, the Internal Audit Division, sole purpose is to ensure the risk and controls within the agency are working and are effective. We also do fraud. We also do some other external things. So this presentation is really for your information. There is no action items to be taken at this point in time. So next slide, please. Within the internal audit, this particular quarter, we did have a loss over person. So we're down to actually 3 auditors, one of them who's part-time, and myself. One auditor right now is on vacation, had a planned scheduled vacation, so they are not here at this point in time. That's Andrew. I do have Nancy Solheim, who is part-time, and Colin Thormore, who is here on a full-time basis. So those are the key things that have in terms of personnel within the internal audit operations. Key areas that we actually focused on this particular quarter were the GASB, some of our fraud monitoring, of course, updating our documentation, and as well as some of our audit reports that you'll see coming forward. As part of the GASB, I just wanted to highlight, in our GASB testing, and we will supply information on that, but subsequent to that, we've taken a look and a deeper look at our standard operating procedures within the GASB context. And Nancy, Colin, and Andrew have been working steadfastly on walking through those and also working with CLA to really make that document more usable from a first-time user, because typically what comes out is we have somebody comes in and we really don't know how things are put together. Over the years, things have been taken out. We used to have color coding, which made it more easier to visually look at things. Those things are being brought back in. So a lot of work is being done within that area. Next slide, please. One more. In terms of audit and where we are today in our programs, right now, Colin is working on the logical access. He and another member who has left the agency, we're working on that together. So I'm providing the background support to Colin for his efforts. He's doing a tremendous job at this point in time of bringing stuff together from a logical access. And I think you're going to be very pleased with the results when he completes that exercise. Foreign annuitants, I've been working that one primarily. And within that particular space, we've had a lot of challenges in terms of some upfront stuff, but also internationally. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but we did have a lot of members who came back and said, we did not receive the information that you sent. Two things have probably occurred. The biggest one, most of those individuals were from Canada. And at the time we initially sent our stuff, they were having a postal strike. So a lot of information did not get sent to them. And then the second one, of course, when we did send out our emails, we did it differently this time. So that information, a lot of that went to their spam. So we've been working through that, giving them more time, and we'll be sending out a final request coming up in the next week or so. And then lastly, we want to talk about the last two things, which are going to be the employer audit, AIBT, and the GASB field work. We'll talk about that. So we can go to the next slide. Keep going. One more. And stop there. So for AIBT, it's really a two-part audit. Nancy had started it, she retired. Andrew picked it up. And subsequent to that, we've had some challenges within the AIBT. As I had mentioned in our summary, we did exceed hours. Now, typically we identify those, and even though it doesn't show up in the visuals, I wanted to bring that to your attention. The reason we had that difference was because this is a charter school, and under certain charter schools, depending on how they operate, makes it difficult to get hours. And so we had to come back and do some rethinking of how we can really get some validation on the hours that some of the senior people had sent in, since they have some schools which are ASRS and some schools which are not, or domain. working with our Assistant Attorney General, Cassie Adams, as well as Crystal. Yes, we were able to put together a nice, I guess, notarized affidavit for them to be able to submit and attest to those hours. So that really is testable for our hours that we had scheduled or budgeted for that particular event. So with that, within the AIPT, if you go to the next slide, please. Let's go to 90. So here's the summary of what we did. We again had a number, we had their team as well as our team. And of course, we also had to have some of our legal counsel interact with them part of this information. And so we were able to confirm and to attest that these were the actual hours from the two principals. We also had one minor finding of employees whose hours were incorrectly calculated. So we had it adjusted. Other than that, very, very minimal information. As a charter school, like many others that are moving to, we find that most of the staff is no longer under the umbrella of the charter school, but they're actually third-party contractors to the schools. So AIBT was one of those that we ran. Any questions about AIBT?
Make sure I understood a statement. The charter schools that are affiliated with ASRS, you indicated, did I hear you say that a third party?
Under, not all charter schools, but under this one and other, several others. Charter schools, what they do is they have their, what's under charter. And then they may have a separate entity which is affiliated with the charter school. And that's where most of your teaching staff, all the other employees end up being part of. And then they're leased to that charter school. So they no longer receive the benefits of the Arizona State Retirement System. Only those who are on the other side will receive it, who are part of the entity that is holding the charter.
Okay, so if, and I will focus on the side where it involves the teachers.
Mhm.
Are they not getting ASRS benefits?
Correct.
Are they contributing to ASRS?
You're not.
Okay. Looks like
This
Dr.
is Chuck Essex. When charter schools first started, there were a majority of the teachers and their employees were part of the Arizona State Retirement System because that's where their teachers were coming from. They were coming from school districts, and many of them were starting up their charters. That's changed now, where in perspective, I think there's very, very few of the charter employees have joined, their employers have very few of them now join and participate in the ASRS. So their employees don't have any of the benefits of it. But in the beginning, it was very prevalent, and now it's the exception in most cases where any employees of charters are now part of the ASRS.
Thank you, Dr. Essex. That was helpful. Any follow-up questions or comments?
Okay.
Thank you.
Next topic, we'll just highlight the GASB field testing. And so I'm just going to quickly turn this over to Nancy and to Colin.
Good morning. Hear me? Okay. Good morning, Chairperson Weber, Trustee Miller, Trustee Essex. My name is Nancy Solheim. I am the part-time internal auditor, as Harold referred to. I'm a retiree, returned to work. I'm happy to be here. And we finished our GASB testing, say about mid-April. And Colin and I are going to point out some key highlights. There was one exception that we found during the testing of the employer Somerton Elementary School District. The exception found consisted of one employee whose contribution should have started at a later pay period ending date as to when she met 2020 eligibility. That can get challenging sometimes. Then an earlier pay period ending date as currently indicated in the ASRS pension system. So the ASRS contribution accounting team was informed about the final calculation and determination. And the ASRS contacted Somerton, and the employer corrected the exception and adjusted the member's account accordingly. And then one other highlight on my side here, as Harold alluded to earlier, the internal audit team, Andrew, Colin, and I, and Harold have been meeting to update the current GASB standard operating procedures. And the focus of these updates has been to remove some of the wordiness as well as create bullet points and links for cleaner, easier reading. And Harold alluded to some color coding. That's kind of one example. Former SOPs had some color coding with employer data, ASRS PID data, and census data. It was easy to follow as to where they joined at. CLA removed that for some reason. And we met with them to say, can we put that back in? It would be a lot easier. And they agreed. So that would be a big help. So those are two highlights that I am pointing out. I'm going to turn this over to Colin.
Hi, good morning. Chair Member Weber and committee or trustee member Miller and Essex. My name is Colin Tomier. I just wanted to a brief comment on the creation of this report was actually my first. And I did utilize some agency generative AI tools to help with productivity in the process of this report. And this overall helped with the timeliness and accuracy and meeting the deadline before, actually before the deadline, which, you know, as it's already been stated that we've been, had an unexpected departure that we feel like this was commemorable to the team. So that's yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted. That was my comment.
And just to follow up, with Colin coming onto the team, he's actually been very good at starting to use the technologies and the tools within the agencies to help speed things up and to really broaden the internal audit's ability to deliver more quality products. So just want to thank Nancy for her work. And again, working within the agency and working with the different individuals always been instrumental in us being able to achieve our goals of assurance and very little pushback, just moving forward. So just want to thank the ASRS staff for their contributions to support our goals and objectives. Are there any questions that you have on GASB or any other topics within the internal audit?
Thank you. Any questions regarding agenda item number 10, comments? Well, thank you, Nancy. It's great to see you again. Colin, very nice to meet you. And yeah, thank you for giving us that real-time example of how we're, able to safely utilize AI to increase efficiency. I think what necessity is the father of invention. So I appreciate everything your team is doing, especially when you're down unexpectedly a team member. I know that's been a challenge, as I think oftentimes when you've come here, you're trying to bring someone on board or hire. And then the process starts all over again. So thank you. I really, really appreciate it. Anything else on agenda item number 10? Okay. Thank you. We'll move to agenda item number 11, summary of current events. Do any of the trustees have any current events they'd like to share? Nope. Okay. Any agenda item number 12, any requests for future agenda items? All right, I'm not hearing any. I think we had some good discussions in the specific topics about updates at future meetings, but those can all be kind of within the sequence of agenda items that we already have laid out for the year. The next ASRS Operations Audit Legislative and Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, November 5th, 2026 at 9:30 a.m. And I'm going to tell you, the new platform has tripped me up a little bit. So I'm going to check my schedule right now before we all leave the room and just, yes. Okay, great. Yep. Look, it's not on there and I'm going to do that right now. Okay. And I will be there.
This is Chuck Essex. I'd like to make a statement.
Yes, please, Dr. Essex.
I'd like to thank the ASRS staff to make it workable where I could participate and still be in Northern California where the temperature is 65 degrees. So thank the staff for making that possible.
Don't tell us that. Now we're all very jealous, even though I was pleasantly surprised it was under 100 this morning when I got out of the car. Probably not what now.
It was 59 yesterday morning, so.
How lovely. Well, take some.
But I'll be back next week. I'll be back where it's 115, so.
Yeah, well, enjoy the cool weather for all of us. Yes, thank you. And thank you for joining virtually and being so flexible on the schedule. I really appreciate that. And like I said, I've officially got this on my calendar. That was a human error, this human in particular. And with that, we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. The time is 11:38.